What would you recommend for my next car of £20,000?
I mean, an E39 would be awesome.
Yeah. So was autoalex right? Is the E39 M5 the best dad car you can buy for sub 20 grand today? Should we find out? My name's Ben. And welcome to Dadcars. So the BMW M5 has always been the have your cake and eat it car for the petrol head with a family. And the E39 is widely considered to be a very special driver's car today, but is it still a daily family car? Here on Dadcars, we tend to kick things off with rear practicality, and sitting in the back of this E39, well, I personally love it because my granddad, when I was a kid, he had an E46 BMW with cream leather interior, and I just remember how special that car felt. So unfortunately, this particular car doesn't actually have ISOFIX, although I think it was an option for 2002, 2003 E39s. If anybody out there has got an E39 with ISOFIX, please confirm it in the comments below. But if that's the case, you should be able to retrofit ISOFIX in the back of your E39. But ISOFIX aside, this is actually a dad spec E39. Look, we've got blinds in the back, and there's even a little one, look, for that side. And also, I'm pleased to say that this car has a built-in booster seat. I can't believe this is the first car with a built-in booster seat that I've featured on the Dadcars channel. But look how cool this is.
So did you know that back in 2001, when this car was new, in the UK, children over the age of 3 only needed to be in a child seat or booster seat by law if one was available? So this would have been a very innovative safety feature, meaning a booster seat was always available. My daughter today does actually meet the weight range on this booster seat from the time it was produced. So for demonstration purposes, this is what it would look like today. And I would be able to use this because it met the standards at time of production and purchase. However, today, backless booster seats, the recommendations is over 22 kilograms or over 125 centimeters.
Also, if you're planning a family trip to the Alps, this has got a ski hatch, complete with, look, a built-in ski bag. That's the first time I personally have ever seen that. And also these rear seats are split folding, which was an option because some of them I think are just fixed rear seats. It is also possible to get free child seats across in here because this car's owner, Ben, has managed to do just that. He's got 3 young children. Now let's take this out for a drive. I got the child lock on. Oh, I'm locked in. This happened when I reviewed the M3 competition as well. Right. How am I going to get out of here? I'm going to have to go through the front. A really cool thing about the E39 is it's got these red lights here to indicate when the engine is still cold, so you don't want to drive above 4,000 RPM. What a cool feature. Why did they stop doing that in cars? It is so hot today, isn't it, sweetie? So I guess the first thing I'd like to talk about is the looks of the E39, because I think this is an absolutely stunning Q car. So understated. Like, if you don't know what you're looking at, obviously other than the M5 badge, you know, the average person would just think that this is an old BMW. But in this colour of blue, it's glorious. And obviously these wheels have recently been refurbished as well. And oh, you can see in person, this car is absolutely stunning. Now I actually met the owner of this car, Ben, when he came to the first Dadcars event that we did. And this car really stood out to me. It was like a diamond shining amongst the rain. Okay, so the E39 was the first M car to get a V8. And this car's got a 4.9 litre naturally aspirated V8, producing around 400 horsepower and 370 pound-foot of torque, sending all of that power to the rear wheels. And this car's also got a very notoriously rudimentary traction control. People who own these cars just switch it off as soon as they get in. Today, because we've got a little one behind, I mean, worst case scenario, if it kicks in, it doesn't really matter, does it? So we'll run with it and we'll see if it gives us any problems today. But of course, it's got 3 pedals, it's a manual. How lovely is that? And honestly, now this has warmed up a little bit, this gearbox actually feels really nice for a car which is, what, 23 years old at time of recording. And look, going over some speed bumps here, this feels really well damped and sprung. You know, it's a very, very comfortable car. You know, even by modern standards, it feels very livable. How does it feel? You feel comfortable in the back there, sweetie? This is honestly making short work of these speed bumps. This is lovely. Whoa, now, I think this is pretty much stock, apart from it's got a bit of a fruity exhaust, which we're going to hear in a minute. Okay, so we're coming up to a national speed limit here. All right, drop it down into third, 2,500 RPM. Let's just see, taking up to 60, see what it feels like. Yeah, it's got a really nice pull. Oh, that V8, and you can hear it really well as well. Now, this exhaust to me, some might say it's a little bit loud, but I actually think that it's very well judged. Now there is a sport button down here, but I've been told that all it does is kind of make the accelerator pedal a bit twitchy. So yeah, I'm not going to bother pressing that and seeing what that feels like, because the throttle response feels decent enough as it is. So I very recently reviewed an F90 M5 competition, one of the brand new ones. So what does this feel like just as a place to sit compared to the new one? Well, yeah, it does feel 23 years older. Obviously you don't get a lovely leather wrap dash at the top here. You know, it's back from a time when, you know, BMWs, even the M cars, were a bit more basic on the inside. But I do really love BMWs from this generation, early noughties. Like I said earlier on, because my granddad had one, you know, the smell and the feel and the general sense that you get in here, it just reminds me of some really wonderful memories as a kid. And that's the thing with cars, and kind of what this whole channel's about, really. You know, is trying to use your special cars with your children and sort of making those associations with the cars, so that when they're older, you know, they don't look at them as just being like an old rubbish thing. They actually, you know, makes them smile like I am right now. I'm really enjoying this. And this instrument cluster is truly wonderful. Exactly what I like. Analog and feels special. Just, you know, the grey back and sort of silver surrounds. Tells you everything you need to see. That was loud, wasn't it? So the other big consideration when you're looking at older cars and using them today with your family is the safety of them. So in 1998 there was an NCAP test done on the 5 Series, and it achieved a 4-star back in 1998 for occupant safety. Didn't do so well for pedestrian safety, only got 1 star, which I read in the documents. I think that the front of these cars is really rigid and hard. So yeah, that was quite interesting. But obviously a 4-star for occupants back in 1998 is not the same as a 4-star today. So this is a big consideration. But I think if you're looking to get an E39 as a dad car, and you've got a secondary family wagon that your other half drives primarily, and a lot of the family miles are sort of soaked up in the other more modern family wagon, then look, it's a personal preference thing. For me, I would feel happy with my children on board in a car of this generation. The other consideration as well of using this as a daily is running costs. Fuel, miles per gallon. This car's owner, Ben, he says on average, mixed driving around 20 miles per gallon. So it depends. Depends how many miles you're going to do a year, and you know whether 20 miles per gallon to you is a deal breaker or not. But because this is a pre-2006 car, road tax isn't going to be that high. And servicing as well, I don't imagine it's going to cost you the earth, even though it is a V8. What is going to cost a lot though is just general maintenance. You know, these cars are old now, and like with most BMWs in general, you know, they do tend to get a lot of use. So chances are, if you're looking to buy one, it's probably going to have quite a lot of miles on it. And so if restoration work hasn't recently been done on it, restoration work and maintenance work will need to be done on it very soon. Take this car for example. When Ben bought it 6 years ago, it was already a high miler, and the whole underside was, well, rotten a lot in places, and the sills were rotten. Had to get all of that done. Cost about £2,000, I think. He had to get a partial respray on this car, I think sort of pushing somewhere close to £4,000 for that. I had to get all of the timing chains done as well. That was £2,000. I mean, I asked him, I said, across the 6 years, how much do you reckon you've spent on this car, sort of maintenance and restoration work? And he reckons about £10,000. So, you know, average that out and it's obviously, wow, it's under £2,000 a year, isn't it? But in fairness to him, he did say that when he bought this car 6 years ago, it was the cheapest M5 in the country with a lot of miles on. And look, it's got 179,000 miles on it right now. I think Ben's done about 40,000 miles since he bought it. So this is what autoalex would call a high mile hero. I reckon Alex would love this M5. Let's have a little feel of this acceleration. Pickle is fast asleep in the back, so we can't go too crazy. Let's have a look. Yeah, see, the traction control kicked in there straight away. I'm not really going to get to kind of feel the performance of this car today, but I can kind of sense that I think this is at a real good sort of sweet spot, you know, for a car with very rudimentary traction control. So if this was my car and I was driving it every day, I probably would be switching it off. 400 brake horsepower, 370 pound-foot of torque, rear wheel drive. I think that's a really nice sort of like power level, you know, and a car that you can't just be flooring it in first and second gear in mixed conditions all the time, you know, and obviously with the manual gearbox as well. I do feel like this car kind of walks that real sweet line of performance. You know, this would arguably be a lot more fun to sort of drive around a twisty road on a Sunday morning than, you know, a supercar with double the power, arguably. I do love the sound of the exhaust that's on this car. I'll ask Ben what setup it is and I'll put it in the comments below. I'm sorry, I didn't ask him before I set off. Now, I think I did say in the E39 M5 review that it felt pretty nimble for a big car. And so obviously this even more so. Feels really nice and narrow and yeah, really easy to place on the road. That's a lovely thing about driving older stuff. The other thing I was wondering about as well, using this as a daily, was reliability. So I asked Ben, I said, how many times has it broken down on you, left you stranded? And I'm happy to inform you that in 6 years, it's only happened once because of an alternator. So, you know, that's pretty good. And speaking of this car's owner, I want to say a massive thank you to Ben. One, for coming to the first Dadcars event. I really appreciate everybody who came to that, and there will be another one soon. But also for inviting me to come and drive this car. I really appreciate it. And Ben's other half, she is a massive petrol head as well. She's got a really cool mum car. Who would like to see this on the Dadcars channel? I mean, I can't wait to feature my first proper mum car. But how cool for their children, growing up with their mum and their dad, both massive petrol heads, making all of their memories in incredible, exciting cars. I absolutely love it. Well done, guys. And look, Dadcars proving yet again that even though I'm driving a really exciting car, my precious little pumpkin is fast asleep in the back. So it absolutely can be done. So was autoalex right? Is the E39 M5 the car that I should buy next for sub £20,000? Well, before I give you my verdict on that, I just really quickly want to say something. That on a small channel like mine, this is all self-funded. I spend a lot of money on making these videos. You know, I've got proper insurance, which costs a lot of money. Fuel driving to the cars. Obviously, it's lovely when people come to me, but I mean, it's a full day out filming a car like this, doing some prep work the night before, getting all the cameras ready, and then doing all the editing. Honestly, it takes forever to make one of these videos. And if you enjoy it, honestly, taking the 5 seconds to hit that subscribe button means the world to small channels like mine. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. And I notice every time it goes up by 1. And if you've already subscribed, those of you who always engage with the videos as well, honestly, that helps so much. Liking the videos, commenting below, sharing them really helps. Hitting the bell icon, everything. But I really appreciate it all, guys. Everybody who is engaging and subscribing, it means the world to me. So what's my verdict then on these cars? Was autoalex right? Well, I completely understand where he's coming from with the E39, I really do. kind of feels like an antidote to modern cars, you know, with all the screens everywhere. It's just pushing us ever closer and closer and closer to focusing on those screens, because we don't have to concentrate on driving, because the cars drive themselves, and then before we know it, we'll be sat in the back with, you know, a 50-inch screen in front of us, or some sort of headset that you click on and you're in a VR world or something. You know, these cars, it's all about the driving. It's just you and your naturally aspirated V8 car with a manual gearbox, traction control, which I can imagine people will just click off. This is a true, real driver's car, yet it's not so old that you can't use it as a daily. I would be happy to use this as a dad car. Ben, the current owner, has used this for the last 6 years as his dad car. Well, last 3 years, because he's had children for the last 3, but so you can definitely do it. You know, the generation before this, that's a bit too old. Certainly, I can't imagine there's anyone out there with first gen 5 Series BMWs that they're using as a daily. So the E39, definitely, I think, if you can put up with it being a bit of a labour of love, you know, it is going to require more money than a modern car. You are going to have to put up with some squeaks and rattles and things not quite working right, and parking sensors kind of intermittently working and things like that. But if you can put up with all of those little quirks and you enjoy it, it's a certain type of person, isn't it? But yeah, I absolutely would buy one of these. I'm putting it on the list. You're still watching this video right now, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon. Like, comment. Honestly, I know you hear this all the time, but it means so much to little channels. It's the only way that our channels grow and our videos get views. So thank you so much for watching. I absolutely love you to bits, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.